Hello.
Eho.
Oh, thank you. Somebody else pressed the button. Okay, so welcome everyone again to the General Assembly 2024. We gathered here today um, to elect a new board and to see how the last board was doing as a yearly General Assembly, as we do every year. And I would like to confirm if everyone has the access to the agenda document, and you need to have the right access. I think everybody does. So then please open the agenda. Please add yourself to the voting and attendance sheet if you haven't done so yet. And then let's proceed with the first item of the agenda, which is adding the number of participants for the meeting. And as far as I can tell, we have 45 people in the.
Disconnected.
I'm sorry. What? Somebody said something.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So I can see we have 45 people as far as I can tell. And could anybody confirm if that's the correct number?
That's the number of entries in the spreadsheet also, so that looks correct.
Okay. So I'm going to add the 45 to the agenda. There was a placeholder for that. And the next item on the opening is the explain the voting process. And this year, we're going to be voting slightly differently. If you've been to the previous meetings, the previous online meetings, we've used the Excel sheet to do the votes as well as the attendance. This year, we have those, you can see those voting templates with those 3 buttons. The green check mark means yes, the red cross means no, and then the blue circle means abstain. For most of the items, we're going to vote directly on the document. That's why the access to the document was restricted, and that's why you needed to request the edit access, because now you have the writing permissions to the document in order to use those buttons. And the way that it works is when the vote is called, you click the button, whether that's a yes or no, or you abstain. And then after the vote is finished, we will tally it up, we will write it down in the document, and we delete the button so people can no longer vote. In our opinion, it would be simpler than the voting sheet and hopefully less error prone. Now, for some of the non-standard votes, like most of the votes will be handled this way. For some of the non-standard votes, like the voting on the chair, on the vice chair, and on the board members, we're going to do an anonymous vote. And for that, we're going to use Zoom polls. So we're going to run the poll here on the meeting. You're going to see the interactive element to press your vote. That vote is anonymous. We only see the tally at the end of the either yes, no, abstain, or which candidate got the more votes. And we record that vote, or the screenshot of that vote, we put it in the agenda, and then that vote is then anonymous. Are there any questions about the voting process? I would also like to add one more thing, that if it happens that, like, currently we don't have more candidates for the board than the space allowed by the bylaws, but if we have some last minute nominations, for example, then we would have to switch to a different method, which is the same that we used last year, which is the ranking vote. There's a link and with the explanations in the document. And if we have some last minute nominations, then we will handle that through the same way that we handled voting last year with preference voting. Okay, so if there are no other questions, I guess we can move to the point 2, which is the selection of the chairperson, secretary, and 2 checkers of minutes of the meeting. We have a candidate for the chairperson of the meeting, of Jacob. We need candidates for the secretary and candidates for 2 checkers. Do we have any volunteers? First for the secretary of the meeting.
Arthur, sorry, I can interrupt you. I think also Raquel helped me to that. There are 3 emails missing from, 2 emails actually missing, or 2 people missing from the list, because here we have 48, I guess 47 without the EuroPython Society account. And in the sheet I can see 45 people. Raquel, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have anyone who has not added themselves to the voting sheet yet? I
Or
see
was
2
overwritten by someone else as I was. So please
I
look.
think I didn't add myself to the sheet yet. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I see 2 more.
I'll do it now.
Yeah, I see 2 more requests to the access to the agenda document. I approve those right now.
Okay.
Thanks.
And there is 1 email missing, at least last time I checked. And thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Sorry about that. I joined late and I didn't catch the first part. So
I see now the email is okay, right? Christian? Okay, thank you for pointing out.
Line 54. Could someone please check if the name and the email match?
Yeah, I think that was the problem.
Yeah. Sorry. So my line is correct, but my email address is also on a separate line. So maybe I overwrote someone else's. Sorry. Don't know.
So if I think, yeah, I think you have this email correct, and you should probably do the name correctly now, and it would be good.
I think your
already.
line is okay. I think you just overridden Coty's line. So Coty, if you can rewrite your line, it would be nice.
Coty just wrote the line.
Well, Corti
the
is
last
on
line.
line 62.
Okay, so now we have everyone. Let's. I will remove the email from 54, and
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool.
now it's correct.
Nice.
Wolf,
can you please also check Olaf's email? Because my email turned up in 2 lines too. I'm super sorry.
About line 33, is that correct? I don't see a relationship between name and email, but maybe just preference.
I think your email is only 1 line, Alena.
Yeah, actually, it's all good now. Thank you.
So again, I see. Raquel, can you help me? I see 46 people, right?
Yes. We should probably delete the 54th line, right? Because it's an empty line.
Yes, I'm doing that now. So again, 46 people.
Yeah. So we're
There is
missing
one missing. Should we proceed?
33.
I'm turning for the first time, but my name and my email is missing. I don't know if.
Yeah, could you please add it in line 62?
Okay, I'll do that in the chat section now.
You have to ask for access in the sheet that we have shared. In the link is inside the chat.
Yes, I did earlier before today. Or should I do that again?
I think you need to access the sheet and add your name there and your email.
Oh, yes, I have access to the sheets. Let me do that now.
Yeah, because you also need to vote there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I see there are several other messages about the sheet. Do we have anything, Christian? Maybe you have anything that needs to be fixed? Because I see you are also checking.
Yeah, I checked, but no, I think that the one that we're missing were.
Yeah, for me, that's the case too. Raquel?
Oh, sorry, what's the question?
No, I mean, do you have anything else that needs to be
No,
fixed,
no,
or
it's
just one person? Okay.
just one person, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Should we wait until we have the last line, or we should proceed in order to save time?
I can answer in the meantime the question from the chat. There's for clarification, does the role of the secretary involve writing the notes of the meeting afterwards based on the recording and the results of the votes? This is the role is about making notes while the meeting is ongoing, and then we have two checkers who would then check if those notes and the votes are accurate.
And would if I was to take on that role, would I have access to the recording as well as a reminder?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm willing to take that on.
Okay. So, one second. We'll do we have any takers for the two other roles, the checkers and?
We had VB as one taker for the checkers.
Okay.
And Koti.
Okay, I can see we already have Mark added to the agenda as one checker. So I don't know. Let's pick VB because he was first. Okay. So we have the candidates for the chairperson of the meeting, for the secretary, for the checker number one, checker number two. So let's use the voting. So vote number one on the above chair, secretary, and two checkers. And then please vote by pressing the buttons on the document.
So, did you get your meeting or is it?
It's on.
Okay, we only have 19 votes so far. I see some people are voting in the sheet and not in the document. Sorry if it was confusing. Because yes, we have the voting sheet there as backup, but we have the primary voting in the document. Please refer to the agenda. Okay, we still have only 30 votes or 31 votes out of 47 maximum. I think this is enough to actually close the vote because I guess whatever the other result would be, we have a majority. So I am going to write the vote number one as passed, and then I will pass on the mic to the newly elected chairperson of the meeting, which is Jacob. Over to you, Jacob.
Thank you very much. And I thank you for giving me the confidence to lead this meeting. And we are going to quickly go on to paragraph 3, which is establishing the timeliness of the meeting. And emails were sent to the EuroPython members mailing list on November 17th, and it was followed by an extra announcement on the EPS website on November 22nd, and we are required to have a 2-week period of notice for the meeting, which I believe this fulfills. Does anybody have a comment or some sort of protest? If not, then I put it to the vote. So you vote whether we have called the meeting in a timely manner or not.
I have a question. So for the first question we had, for the first vote, I see that some people updated the spreadsheet, the column with vote, and some only in the vote one in the doc under the paragraph 2. So I think while it's clear who should be the chairman and secretary, there might be some confusion, and that would be better to clarify now because people might want vote incorrectly in other places.
Okay, so the correct place to vote is in the minutes of the meeting. We don't vote in the spreadsheet because it's easier for everyone essentially to perform the vote in the minutes of the meeting. And right now we have 24 votes against and 4 abstain on paragraph 3. And I'm hoping that we're going to get some more. We still have the quorum for or rather we still have a majority for, but I'm moment. So that people get some time to adapt to this. Okay, we now have 30 votes, 31 votes for the timeliness of the meeting, and 7 abstain. There are still some people who quite got the hang of the voting here, but they will probably do better on the next chance. So I'm finding that the meeting has been called in a timely manner. Then we move on to the presentation of the annual report and annual accounts by the board. And I think it is Arthur who will be presenting the board report. And then after that, we're going to do the financial reports with others. So Arthur, please.
Yes, thank you, Jacob. So all the documents are linked in the spreadsheet. The main one is the board report 2024. If you've been to the previous general assemblies, there used to be a presentation. Now this is a bit larger document, and it's a text document, not a regular PowerPoint presentation. I don't know, should I share the screen here, or can everyone open the document? I send a request to share the screen. Either Fanis or Raquel would have to accept my request to share the screen.
I think, yeah,
you
Raquel,
already
maybe
have-
you can do that.
Yeah, it's already done.
Now. Okay,
Okay.
so the full screen, right? So my original intention behind it was to send it earlier so that everyone can read it, and then we don't have to spend as much time on the meeting itself. So I would like to only give you the highlights, and then if there are any questions, please go ahead and ask them or interrupt in the middle. We this year for the conference in 2024, or maybe let me start here, that this is the summary of the activities from October 1st when we had on the last G in 2023 to today, which is December 1st, 2024. And for the conference, we went back to PCC. We, instead of running a full RFP, we basically asked the PCC for an updated quote. We found the quote to be reasonable, and yeah, we accepted that quote. That procedure took a little bit longer than expected, so therefore we announced the conference publicly, I believe, only in January, which is on par with how we did it with the full RFP process. But in the meantime, we did manage to onboard the new board members and plan some other activities. The conference itself, most of you probably been to the conference, so you've seen it. As part of the efforts, we've had a record number of people replying to our call for contributors. We had a lot more organizers than in the past. You can see the screenshot here from the closing session that has 57 names on it as people who are involved throughout the process of putting the conference together. And then we also have 59 on-site volunteers, which again, it's very large team this year. And we had a lot of new events, or staying in the same place allowed us to focus on a lot of things that we wouldn't have the space to work on otherwise. So we have the speakers dinner for probably the first time. I asked around, nobody was able to confirm that, but it looks like it could have been the first time we had a speakers dinner at EuroPython. We had a bigger social event. We had events on most of the days of the week. There were special PyLadies Day with multiple workshops. And we continued the summits with during WASM Summit again that Nicolas put together, and the CAPI Summit that Antonio organized. On the other hand, overall, we had a bit fewer participants this year on site and a bit more remote than in the past. This year, we didn't offer the free streaming as in the past, with the idea being that we will release the streams a few days after the conference. So people only pay if they want to see them live. And for that, we can use that money, for example, for the grant program later on. And then if they want to watch it for free, they will have to just wait a little bit. For the diversity inclusion efforts, we had a free childcare, quiet room, low simulation room, accessible toilet facilities. We had the different dietary requirements for catering, neurodiversity bag, which I think we had for the first time this year. And on top of that, the team has also ensured that venue is wheelchair accessible and the conference schedule is screen reader friendly. We had the accessibility, like a slightly larger accessibility team this year. Lots of new things happening, and that was mainly possible because we were able to save some of the energy on selecting the new venue and switching to a different country. And in particular, moving from one country to another is a very time-consuming process. And for the conference in 2025, the part of the promise on the last GA was that if we manage to put everything well together, we will have enough space to select the new venue before the conference and announce it at the end of the conference in 2024. That hasn't happened. Turns out that the process itself is very time consuming, and we still needed to do a lot of work on the conference in the last 3 months leading to the conference. And as such, we weren't able to complete that project. We did a bunch of stuff toward that direction. We formed a work group on the board in the end of the first quarter. We published a community call for venues. We talked with various communities around Europe what they think about bringing the EuroPython to those communities or to those countries. On the commercial side, we went to the IMEX, which is like a big trade show for conference venues and cities and travel industry in general, which also helped us a little bit to understand how to improve our process of selecting the venues and so on. Now, unfortunately, due to the high workload, we were not able to finish the project of selecting the venue. And in the meantime, we did talk to the Czech community again about possibility of hosting the conference in Prague again. We again asked for the updated code for the PCC, and after reviewing, we accepted it and decided to stay in Prague for 1 more year. So this is not a fully public information yet because we don't have a website and we haven't publicly announced it, but for the volunteers from last year, it was already known that We are coming to Prague in July 2025, most likely with this color scheme. This is the color palette from the t-shirts from last year. And thanks, Cyril, for making the logo with these colors. And the preparations for the 2025 have already started. If you've been the volunteer for the 2024 conference, you've probably already seen the message on Discord. And shortly after the GA, we will ramp up the speed of what we're doing with the conference. And hopefully make it even better than it was this year. And the plan remaining the same as to select a new venue and then announce it at the end of the conference. In terms of grants, we increased the budget this year. We managed to give out 92,850 euros of support to local Python community events. This is the list of the grant recipients from this year. As you can see on the chart, this is record year, and total since 2017 EPS awards 319,270 euros and 18 cents in grants. If you're wondering why this is not a round number, that's because of the reimbursements for FIN8 for last year. Moving on to the memberships, we had a slightly lower number of members, as you can see on the chart. This year we had a large number of signups, but we adopted a slightly different policy, which is we only confirmed the membership of the people who either helped with any of the EuroPython Society projects so far or already attended the conference, which means if somebody is just signing up on the website and have never attended EuroPython or never cooperated on any EuroPython projects, they are by default pulled into a slower queue. We haven't sort of formally rejected those, but they are right now waiting for the further processing. And that's it in terms of the membership. And in terms of community and outreach, we did a bit better than in previous years. For the first time ever, we had a big sponsor booth in the sponsors area at EuroPython. Big thanks to Lais for putting all of this together. We had more presence at various PyCons and Python conferences in Europe. We had a booth in Spain, in Sweden, in Italia, PyCon Italia, and banners in Prague and PyCon Slovakia. We established a small advocacy budget for the reimbursements for the EPS, representative promoting EPS at other conferences, and we are hoping to improve on that in the future. And we were more close with local Czech community, onboarding more members of the local community to the conference team and joining the EPS. We held the PSF and DSF open spaces at the conference. As every year, we organize the Python organizers meetup and Python organizers lunch during the conference. We sent out invitation with vouchers to all the European PyCons. And this year we had more than 4 people at the meetup. And last but not least, very important, we had a grant from the Python Software Foundation to improve diversity and inclusion at EuroPython. And the money was used to fund members of the PyCon Africa and PyCon Namibia communities to join EuroPython for the first time, as well as pay for childcare at the conference and fund the kit for neurodivergent bags. Before I move on to the finance section, do we have any questions about any of the topics mentioned so far? I don't hear any questions, so I'm going to continue. In terms of finances, this is the auditor and financial reports from 2023, which is what we'll be voting on today. This is a screenshot of the profits and loss statement from the 2024 conference. This will be revised a bit slightly up because there's some extra reimbursement that still need to be paid, and they're currently temporarily added on the budget like a bit a bigger amount. So we know that it's going to be more than the current amount because the actual cost is going to be less than it was currently budgeted for. And there's some stuff that's need to be processed, but it's going to be more than 110,000. And including the grant program and the other society expects. And this basically means that we broke even for the year. We will only know that for sure at the end of the year, and we still have 1 month of the year going on. But looks like the conference did not, or like the society as a whole, even with the larger grant program than in the past, didn't lose money this year. And here's the current status of all our various bank accounts and the projection for the budget proposal for 2025. I do believe that's a separate item on the agenda later, so maybe we don't need to go through it right now.
Arthur, I have one question.
Yes.
Yes, if you go to the, what's it called? I would call it P&L document. It says Resultat Report.
This one.
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
And then if you go to the, I believe that the accounts 3308 and 3309, those are the sponsorship incomes, right? And then
Yes.
And then if you look on 4D12, that's the sponsorship cost. I would assume those are the booths for the sponsors. I was just wondering why the costs have gone up so much from 20 something K to 57.
Yeah, no, Martin, 4012 is the sponsoring that we have done. So that's grants we've sent to other conferences.
Okay, good. Okay, so that was a misunderstanding. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering why the amount is going up between conferences. Okay, thank you.
Yes, and this is for 2023 as well.
Yes.
Yes. Do we have any other questions? Okay, I don't hear anything. So the question is, should we go through the budget right now, or is that a separate item for later?
That's a separate item for later. So.
Neil, I can raise your hand.
Yeah, just one question, just going back a little bit. When you were talking about the date for the conference in 25,
yes,
you said that wasn't really public information at this stage. Does the fact that you're announcing it now mean that it is now public information and that it can go into the minutes of this meeting?
Yes, it can go into the minutes of this meeting. We don't have like a website yet, and we haven't sort of officially publicly announced it yet, but that's coming as soon as we can. So I think it's okay to put it in the meeting notes, and then as soon as we have some sort of landing page for it, we will start adding it to all the calendars and promoting it and so on. But we already know that what's the date and the location. And yeah, so the budget is a separate item. On the other legal things related to the society, we extended our trademark this year for the next 10 years. It was first registered in 2014, and it came up for a 10-year renewal. Next renewal 2034, and the US trademark is to be renewed in 2030. And in terms of other initiatives, we have been working on possible EPS future strategy. There are some documents linked there. We had another approach at publishing the documentation and our resources. We've made some small progress for the documentation in 2025, or at least some groundwork, and hopefully we'll soon start publishing more of that. Christian made the draft of the new EPS website, which is also something that hopefully we can focus more on in the future. Please send all the feedback toward Christian. And we also have some recommendations for the new board based on the experience from this year. Those are mostly self-explanatory, I guess, because I mean self-explanatory as in they are all sort of explained in the document. You can read at your own time, but they are mostly in the order of priority, meaning that we would first like to hire some event manager or coordinator for the next conference because of the scale of the event. I mean, this is not a new topic. We've been discussing that for many years. We've made some progress toward it this year, but we haven't sort of fully managed to realize that. And that would be a good idea for the next board to tackle as a first priority. And similarly as last year, the lengthening the cycle of the conference organization helps a lot. And we haven't moved in a long time, so we should probably finally move the conference into another place, maybe for a year or two already, with some sort of option, like location for 2026 with the option for 2027. Yes, and I'm not sure what else to say about that. We should continue working on strengthening the community outreach. We've done a bit better this year. There's still more opportunities to go to work more closely with other European communities and beyond. And I think that's it from the board report. Do we have any questions? Going to stop sharing. I don't hear any questions. Okay.
I have a question maybe, Artur. You just basically skipped over the EuroPython Society strategy document. It's actually the first time I'm seeing this. Is there going to be a separate kind of event outlining this or discussing this, or how do you plan to discuss this with the membership?
So I would like to hand it over to Alex, hence the owner of the strategy. So Alex, if you're there, please take it away.
Oh yes, I'm here. Thanks. Yeah, we started strategy middle of last year before the GA already. Because we see the repeating pattern there. Annual board elections, onboarding new members. Eventually, there's a conference to run, which sucks in all the energy, and EuroPython never changes. And it's basically, we say we are there for the European community, but basically it's a conference. We're running a conference, to be honest. So and it's understandable, because after the conference, energy level is low, and then it's already the next GA. So the strategy proposes multiple things to see, define what's the mission of the EPS for the European community. And it's totally fine to decide we just want to run the conference and it's just good enough. My personal opinion here is currently EuroPython Society supports other conferences, which is great, but you could also argue on the other side, it's an insider club of conferences supporting other conferences, if you really want to put it in a bad way. But that's not meant that way. But I also think if we have in the bylaws to support the European community, we should have a proactive outreach program of EuroPython Society, finding these groups in need, which never probably have attended a EuroPython conference, which need our help. And I think the best way to do it, and there's also a proposal and a strategy, to split the EPS mission and the conference into two separate parts, because we're also moving or suggesting outsourcing services to the event manager, because it's too much load for the board, and the funding actually. And I think it should be two separate concerns. People working on the how can EuroPython Society find and support communities which should be supported in Europe according to the bylaws. And another concern is running the conference to basically also aggregate the funds for the funding project, funding the support program. That's the outline. Yeah, and unfortunately we were not able to move forward as we wanted this year, but I hope somebody else will pick up the torch or basically just decide, make a call. No, we just running the conference, that's it, and close the book, which is also fine. That's for the new board to decide.
Thanks, Alex. I think this is it's a good idea to discuss these things. I think the GA is probably not the right place to actually start this discussion, but perhaps we can either have a separate kind of call where we go into further discussions on this, or maybe we can schedule something for the next EuroPython in Prague to hash this out a bit more. I think it's in general, I like the idea. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the feedback, Mark. Yeah, I also think it's a great idea. So, but it's yeah, because I see we need these separate. Yeah, we need to somehow update EuroPython.
Yeah, but I think Marc-André's thoughts around this is really that it requires the involvement of the membership. You can't really have the board making a strategy without consulting the membership. That doesn't quite work. So you have to at least call some sort of meeting, which you invite people to. You have the meeting and then make some sort of conclusion after the meeting. And then after that, you can bring a strategy to the general assembly.
I think it's different. I have a different opinion. It's up to the board to make their strategy, but I totally agree. All members should be included and discussed with. So yeah. It's not like I'm not really saying something different, but actually we have to see the strategy. Something, yeah. You first need to see what are the options. What's the plan, and then of course propose it to the members and say, what do you think? But we have bylaws, and the bylaws say, as far as I know, we support the European community, and it doesn't say we just run the conference. But maybe I'm wrong and I've misread. But anyway, it would also be great to see how the members feel it. Do we miss something in supporting the European community? Is there something to do or not? So yeah, let's open a discussion there. That's why it's not a strategy. Also, like it's a strategy proposal. It's not. We worked on it together. But it's not. There was never like a formal decision. It's still like a draft, which anybody can comment. It's an open presentation. Anybody can comment or ask questions. I'm happy to answer and yeah, questions.
Yeah, sorry for that. I raised my hand. I think that Marc-André's idea of discussing this in EuroPython, I think, is the best. I support that, the best place. And I feel it's a great use of the EuroPython Society meetup that we have tried to run this year too. And maybe next year we can also include things like that, because I feel that it's very interesting to discuss that.
Yeah, Christian also raised the hand.
Yeah, I mean, on one side, I mean, I also like the idea of discussing it during the event. The problem that I have with that is that most of the people in the board will be quite busy. And this meeting, which might be a really long meeting, might be really, I don't know. Everyone will be not maybe emotionally like there to have been open to feedback and ideas and stuff. So even though I like the face-to-face things, I do believe I need to have a different opinion that you, Fanny, is that I think that we need to discuss this soon and hopefully before the conference. Maybe we can still have a meeting there to settle the last points, but just to start this discussion so we can see if we converge somewhere. As a first step, it will be better, in my opinion, because of that. I mean, I don't know.
Yes, please don't get me wrong. I support that too. Like we can do it in on a different timing.
Konstantin, I think you raised your hand as well.
Yes. So I also support Mark in this, that it would be great to have it separate discussion. But at the same time, currently we're going to have the vote on the board. And I would also be fine if everyone who going to present their candidates will just go through their position quickly on this. And if they want this strategy to move forward, or they have some alternative in their mind. So at least we would know what we're voting for, and then they will make the decision as a board. Like for me, that would be also fine.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks. So I think I also agree. I mean, EuroPython is a great place to meet and discuss, but I think actually, yes, especially the board is busy. I think we can also move this to an online meeting. Because I think that's probably the easiest way. You still can meet in person and discuss, but still have some quiet time, because it would be great to see some feedback on that. But actually, formally, the new board has to call for that as well, because I'm after like 10 years EuroPython, I decided not to run again this year. So, but I'm happy to support it, and throw everything I know and into that and help. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have noted that there is an interest in having a membership discussion around this. So we put it to the next board to think about the best way of promoting this. And as we've seen, having a couple of discussions online during the spring would probably be a good idea. All right, since this is actually part of a report and not any decision point, I think we should be moving on. And we essentially came to the end of the board report, and we should be moving on to the formalities, which are the annual report for 2023. And I think it's Anders who is going to talk about that.
Yes, though if we need a screen share, I would appreciate if someone else can do that, because I'm not in a position where I can share a screen.
I can do the screen sharing.
Okay.
Where do I should point my screen?
Open the årsredovisning, the last one before the last one of those.
Last, this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gonna make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Right. So this is sort of the formal report of what we have done, and it's mostly about the finances, but it also mentions that we did the conference in Prague and so on. Yeah, so as you can see from the numbers, the conference turnover.
Please note that the numbers are in hundreds of euros.
Oh yes, that's important, because it's a bit confusing scale with the hundreds of euros. But basically, we have a turnover of a little more than 600,000 euros. We made a bit less profit this year, but still 28,000 euros in profits, which we will use for financial conference grants and financial aid for next year. And we'll get to that in the budget, but I think that we still have enough cash in the bank that we can sort of overspend a bit on the grants. So
please remember that this is for 2023, so the grants for next year compared to this report have more or less already been spent.
True, and we did spend more than the profit from last year, which we can look at that later if you're interested. Yeah, and I'm scrolling here, but that doesn't help because I'm not sharing the screen.
Where should I point it?
Yeah, income statement is good. Here we can see a bit details, like, I mean, the main income is basically the conference. That's where we get all our money, and the expenses is also the conference. Yeah, and it doesn't really split up the grants here, so you unfortunately can't see that. But if we go on to the balance,
of that are in the more detailed report that we have published. I don't think we need to go into the details unless somebody wants to ask specific questions.
I don't have a detailed question, just a general question. Are we fine with our non-profit and taxes exempt status with the profits and accumulated profits, or are there any dangers that the Swedish tax authorities question that?
Yeah, I actually got a question from them this year, but they seem to have been happy with my answer, so we should be good.
Anders, one more question. Is there, or can you give just a short overview of where the finances are right now? Because it's already far into 2024, and I would assume the new board would want to know what they're getting into, right?
Yes, I will. Let's just finish this one, and then we can get to that, because I have a bit of that in the board report that Arthur skipped over. But if we continue on to the balance sheet, we had a bit over 700, well, almost 800,000 euros in the various bank accounts at the end of last year. So we have plenty of money in the bank. And let me see. I don't think there is really anything else to note. No, what happened? Yeah.
Should I switch to the board report now?
Yes. Unless there are questions on the details.
Yes. Do we have any questions on the details? Then we'll go on to the finances, legal bureaucracy, the parts after there.
Yes. So the current
status.
Current status is we have 786,000 in the bank accounts, and if you open the resultatrapport, we can have, this is as of the end of September, which is as far as the accounting is complete. There is done accounting after that, but it's not complete. So I didn't want to sort of give you a later date that would later turn out to be wrong. But we're looking at a similar profit from this year, 28,000 euros. And also another thing I would like to add is that I have taken over the detailed accounting, so I have a lot better feel for where our money is going, since I'm doing the actual day-to-day accounting and not just having our accountant sort of double check my work.
Okay, any questions on this part?
Doesn't sound like it.
No? Okay. Yeah. Then if we don't have any question discussion, I'm going to ask you if we can archive these reports that we have been going through, which is just a formula. Is there anybody against this? Okay, I find that we have decided to archive. Then I'm going back to paragraph 5, presentation of the report of the auditor. So I am the auditor of the EuroPython Society, and I have made a signed report, which is called Audit 2023 sign.pdf, and in that I am giving the board a clean bill for their management of both the day-to-day running of the EuroPython Society and for the finances. So do you have any questions about this report? I am not going to read it out. If not, then we're going to archive this report and we move to item 6, discharge from liability for the board, which means that as a society, we're not making financial claims against the board for decisions that they've done. If the people have done something that is illegal, they can still be charged, but we as a society don't make any claims on board. So do we have any discussion about this? Is there anybody against the proposal? Then I'm bringing it to the vote, where a yes vote is for discharging the board for liability and no for not discharging, and abstain is for not participating in the vote, which traditionally the board does not do. So the vote is now open, and I will close it when the votes stop coming in.
Is this vote number 2 or number 1?
This is the vote under paragraph 6.
The vote.
Vote number 3.
Please do not vote on the Excel sheet. Please vote in the agenda.
Yes, we're voting in the agenda, not in the Excel sheet.
Okay. I was about to vote on the wrong place.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
It's all right. It was nothing important.
Okay. So right now we have 28 yes votes and 12 abstain. So I find that we have voted to discharge the board from liability. Then we move to paragraph 7, election of chairperson of the board. And then I find that we have an empty list of candidates here. Do we have any candidates?
I'm going to add myself because I wrote that already in the nomination. And then if we have any candidates before we set up the vote, please say something.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other candidates? No, I don't find any more candidates. So then, Arthur, please say something about your candidacy for next year.
Yes. Thanks for the microphone, Jacob. Yes, I would like to run for the chair for one more year. I think there is a bunch of stuff that we would still like to finish from this year that we started. I would like to focus mostly on handing things over to other people, which is also what was the plan for this year. It's in some cases it worked, in some cases it didn't. I do think that as a board, we're still doing a little bit too much, and that makes it harder for people to join the board and then work on the board. So it would be nice to create more work groups from the things that are currently done mostly by the board, like grants or fellowships maybe, and include people from outside the board in those work groups. So then the workload on the board members themselves are less so. I mentioned in the blog post that we published that as a first priority is hiring the event manager. I think we did make some progress on that, but we haven't hired one. And I think this is another thing that we should, again, something that the board is doing or the board members are doing these days, and something that should be another sort of things moved away from the board. And then that's essentially what I would like to focus on to making sure that the board is in the future not as under as heavy workload that has been for the past few years. And that would be like a major focus for me. And yeah, that's it. So do we have any questions?
Yeah, any questions to Arthur? No, then we'll simply go on to the vote. And in this case, since we only have one candidate, we are going to do the vote in the minutes of the meeting. So if you want to elect Arthur as candidate, you vote yes. And if you're Arthur, you abstain. And you don't really have any other choice. You could vote no, but that would be sort of a clear marking of some sort of
I would like to
lack of confidence.
I would like to make a suggestion here that we could make it and test the vote through Zoom, which in that case would be anonymous.
No, we're staying with this.
Okay, so we're staying with the
yes.
Okay.
So please cast your votes. So things seem to have stabilized at 34 yes votes and 5 abstain. So I find that we have elected Arthur as the chairman for next year. Then we move on to the election of vice chairperson of the board. As I understand, we have more than 10 here. So please present what we have.
Yes. First, thank everyone for voting for me. And then second, I would like to nominate 2 people as candidates for vice chair. And we talked about it for the last couple of days. We couldn't, like, the candidates are very good and we couldn't run into a conclusion who would be the better candidate. And coin flip wouldn't be fair to the members. So we would like to make the vote from the members about the topic. So I would like to nominate 2 people. One is Cyril, and the second person I'd like to nominate is Mia.
So Cyril and Mia.
Yes.
Can we have their main names on the minutes?
Yes, adding that right now. Is it correct? I cannot see because of the cursors. Okay, and as far as I understand, this time we do the voting via Zoom. Is that correct?
Yes. And I think we have we'll go to their presentations first, and
Okay.
then we do the instructions for how to do the voting by Zoom. Let's give Mia the floor.
So hello everyone, I'm Mia. I work as a software engineer for a fast-growing company where I design and develop Python libraries for data engineers. I'm a member of the Czech Python community. I've been the main organizer of local Prague Python meetups for the last 3 years. I brought Python Pizza to the Czech Republic. I was a co-organizer of PyCon CZ23, and I was also a co-organizer of, I've been involved with EuroPython the last 2 years. Apart from that, I also have an experience speaking on technical topics at many conferences, from PyCon US, PyCon Namibia, to many European PyCons. I decided to run because I really like EuroPython. It gave me a lot, and I would like to give something back to the community. The main topic I would like to focus on is sustainability, and I would like to work on the first 4 topics suggested by the previous board, and these are the topics that I've already discussed with the current board candidates. I also shared inside my nomination a link to my blog where I wrote more about my background, my motivation, and my ideas. So if you're interested, you can also check it out, as now we don't have time to go through all of this. And the very last thing I would like to mention is that both me and Cyril are happy to work together, and we support each other no matter the results. However, we decided to run in the open election instead of agreeing behind closed doors because we wanted to be more transparent and to give you a chance to choose whoever you think would be a better candidate. So no matter the results, I'm happy to work with Cyril, and I'm happy to work with all of you. And I'm also happy to reply if you have any questions.
Okay, I think we will go on to Cyril, and then we will have a bit of questions to the two of you. So Cyril, please.
Yeah, hi, I'm Cyril. Most of you who have been to the last EuroPython conferences probably know me as the guy running around, putting out fires, doing stuff. And I did not only do this at the conferences, well, actually I started doing that and then got more in the operations part or in the organization. I did a lot of organization for the 2024 conference as well. And now I want to try to see that we can have a little bit less stress on the back end by trying to organize things a little bit before and see to it that we have more time to go for the future projects that the PS is wanting to go to. Yeah, as Mia already said, it's not like it's either me or Mia. No, I'm pretty sure that Mia and I are pretty much aligned in what we want to do, and that we can work together very good, no matter who's going to be vice chair and who's going to be board member, or if I'm not a board member, well, I can work with Mia anyway. There are a lot of things that needs to be done, and yeah, let's hope that it goes that way.
Okay, then I open the floor to questions to either of the candidates or both. So please go ahead. No questions? Then I'm going to pose a question. Does anybody of you have an interest of becoming the chair of the EuroPython Society in the future? Let's start with Mia.
Yes, thank you for the question. I think this is a very good question because when we started discussing who is going to be the next vice chair, we all agreed that the best would be to have someone who was on the board before and someone who would be the next vice chair, which is also one of the patterns I've seen at PyCon US, how they have it. I cannot commit to anything so far, but potentially sometimes in the future, why not?
Okay, and Cyril?
Well, I've not been on the board before. I've seen how much work is on the board. And yes, I might run for the chair, but I will have to see how I can run as vice chair first. And when I'm running for a chair, I will need a lot of help from older chairs as well, because there's a lot of history in the board that I don't know about. And I will need help from other people as well, because I have something that Mia does not have, a lot of connections within the EuroPython community. So in other Python organizations, well, I know people here, but there's more to come, and we will have to see how much people I will get to know during my time in this election and in the year after.
Okay. Has anybody come up with a new question?
I would also like to add that what I would like to see in the future is that the chairperson does different things that are done at the moment. It's also one of the recommendations of the previous board that the board is not as involved with the conference organization, and there is a separate team there. We are not there yet, but I think also important question is what is the role of the chairperson in the future?
Okay. Any more questions now? Then we move on to the vote, and Arthur will have to explain to us how to do that.
Yes. So we have, well, I don't actually have, but whomever is the host of the meeting will have the button to run a poll. You should see the poll on, once we open it, you should see a poll here on Zoom. And then you will be able to choose either Mia or Cyril, and those votes are anonymous. And then after we close the vote, we will see the results, and then we put those results in the minutes of the meeting.
Okay, so please everybody note that we're voting in the what's it called interface to the
Zoom.
meeting.
Can we only vote
Zoom.
for one of them, or can we vote for both?
It should be single choice. So the app should only allow you to vote on one.
Should I launch it now, Arthur?
Yes, please.
I hope everybody sees it.
Okay, so we now have the vote number 5 up on electing vice chair of the EPS, with Mia and Cyril as the candidates. So please cast your votes and send. And here I believe Raquel is the one who has the count of the votes that show up. So we'll give it a bit of time. So is there anybody who wants to cast a vote who hasn't done so yet?
We currently have 41 people who voted, I think out of 45.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I imagine 2 probably abstained. So
There's no option to abstain,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I just
get that.
didn't vote.
Yeah.
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 So we're pretty close. I think Oh, yeah. So we have 42 people who voted now.
Yes. So then we're closing the vote now,
Okay.
since nobody spoke up
Okay,
about
ending
wanting to
the
vote.
poll now. Do people automatically see the result or not?
I think you have to press the share results button.
Yeah. But do you see it now?
Yes.
Good.
So I find that we have elected Mia as the vice chair with 62% of the vote, and Cyril with 38% of the vote in second place. Okay, then we move on to the election of board members.
I would like to make one more comment here to our secretary of the meeting to please update the status of the votes in the agenda notes when we make them. Thank you.
It seems to be there already.
I mean, I pasted the vote for the well, the previous votes and so on.
Mm-hmm. So then we move on to election of members of the board. And the bylaws allow for up to 7 people on the board, excluding the chairperson, vice chairperson. This has turned out to be sort of at the high end of what is workable at all. So we don't need to fill the board with 7 people. And with the ideas that are being discussed, where we move more of the work out of the board and into work groups, then hopefully the function of the board in the EuroPython society is going to change, where there is more oversight and more strategic planning for the future. Okay, so whom do we have as candidates for members of the board? So apparently we have
copy pasting nominations. In the meantime, anybody else who wants to self-nominate last minute?
I would like to self-nominate. I know it's a bit last minute, but I came up with some ideas that I want to contribute with, so here I am. So I'll add my name there.
Okay. Would you like to, could you do that now? Yeah. I removed myself and Mia from the list and copied everyone else from the blog post. Please check if your names are there.
Okay, so we have a list of candidates in the form of Anders Hammerqvist, Aris Nivorins, Cyril Bitterit, Shekhar Koirala, and Ege Ackerman. Is that correct? And we also have Oti Belanki as candidates. So I'm 2, 4, that's 6 people, which is fewer than the maximum. So I'm going to give you just a short, maybe maximum 30 seconds presentation about who you are. And then if there are no protests, I'm going to propose that we elect the new board in a single vote. Okay, so Anders, please, brief presentation.
Okay, so I'm the eternal treasurer, I guess. Though I hope maybe I will not. Maybe I'll get some assistance this year because Aris is also in Sweden. So I will not be the only one who can access the SEB accounts. I've been sort of pushing for this split of responsibilities so that the board is more of an oversight, and then that we have committees that actually do the stuff, and that's sort of what I want to continue working on in the forward strategy. And that's it for me.
Yeah. Okay, Aris, please.
Yes, hi. I'll try to fit everything in 30 seconds. My name is Aris. I was the ops lead last year. It was also my very first EuroPython. I worked on different things. Was one of the best conferences that I have ever been, so I would like to help more. I was also helping the board as the co-treasurer.
What happened?
I think we lost him.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Something seems to go wrong. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
Of course, it will go wrong in the wrong moment, right? So yeah, I was saying that I was the ops lead last year, helped with different things. It was one of the best conferences that I have ever been. It was my first EuroPython, and I'm really happy to help again in any capacity. I decided to run for the board this year. I was also helping them as the co-treasurer last year, so the workload on the board is too much, I feel like, seeing it as an organizer. So I think we should focus on working on a more independent and separated team of organizers. This is one of the main things that I want to work towards. And yeah, I'm happy to help in any capacity, no matter what's the outcome of the vote. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, we've already heard from Cyril, so I'm going to skip him. We already had a lengthy presentation there. Shekhar, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sekhar. It's been 3 years I've been part of EuroPython family, and when it came to Dublin, where I live, and I would say my volunteering started by asking questions to the past volunteers and to answering the questions from the new volunteers this year. And I valued this transition, yet I receive a lot of feedbacks which I want to update and where the things could go better. I have worked on onboarding volunteers, remote speakers, volunteer scheduling, and my vision for the board member is create a welcoming space, and EuroPython moves country each year, and for that it needs to be robust in terms of decision from the board or like having connection with local community, which should be robust, and I want to help on that part. And having said that, with any result of voting, I'm excited to be volunteer for EuroPython 2025.
Great, thank you. Then it's what I pronounce as Ege, which probably is wrong. Please go ahead.
Hello, I'm Ege. I'm a computer science student at Rose-Hulman. I was a part of the ops team last year. I mostly worked on the website and the program API. I've been involved in the Turkish Python community in the last 3 years and been in the EuroPython community in the last 2 years. The thing I want to touch on is to attract younger people to the conference, maybe from universities, because I want to see more people who are new to the field and want to learn something. And that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Okay, Koti, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Koti. So, like I've been actually involved in organizing volunteering for PyCon events across the globe. EuroPython Society, it's been a second year, but PyCon India, PyCon APAC, PyCon US, and lot of other things I'm very actively involving. And it was like great pleasure meeting Mia and Christian, Check, all of them in person. and who inspired me to start volunteering for EuroPython and reviewing CFPs and a lot of other things. Now I want to work closely in the outreach community to spread a word about EuroPython society, and kind of serving as a liaison between attendees and the board. Being said that everyone was to be heard, my goal is simple: to do everything possible to make EuroPython great, regardless of outcome. I'm truly committed to volunteering and being part of this great community. That's all I have. Thank you so much for considering this chance to giving me be a candidate. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Do we have any questions to the candidates for the board? We have an issue where we have a proposal from Nicholas Tollerby to reduce the number of members of the board. As things stand, we are reducing the number of members of the board by one this year. And I think it would be a good idea to try with this reduction, and we can have a discussion about this again next year. Is that a good way of dealing with things?
Actually, Jacob, I think what Nicholas meant was he was asking whether someone knows why there are so few candidates for the board this year compared to last year. Not that we reduced the number of board members that we have. I mean, that would be a separate thing to discuss, of course, but
yes.
Maybe someone has some insight into why we don't have. I think we had 17 last year candidates, or at least many more than we have now.
Yes, but I think that was an extreme situation that hasn't historically happened. We've had maybe one or two candidates more than we have had seats on the board. So I think this is something that fluctuates with time and the amount of time people actually have to spend, because it involves quite a bit of work being on the EuroPython board. Do we have any other people who want to bring something to this discussion?
I would like to bring maybe one more point that's sort of related to both what I said in my nomination and it could be potentially related to what Nicholas is referring to. That currently at the moment the board is still a lot of work. Shortly before the conference it becomes effectively a full-time job, and it's a large time commitment and very sort of sometimes complicated type of work, and different from lots of other community work, whether that's open source contributions or yeah. So anyway, that's one point I wanted to make, that like until we sort of improve the amount of the workload that's on the board, that's probably going to remain an issue, and hence why the idea of like either separating the conference from the board a little bit more with a separate conference team, and then onboarding more people, hiring more people, so that we can have a both more stable and more approachable amount of work, volume of work at the board, because right now it's just basically too much.
Okay. Is there anybody who is against the proposal of electing the members of the board as a group? No. And I suppose we should do this with a non-public vote, which means that we do it in the Zoom interface.
I raised my
Where
hand,
one option
by the
is
way.
going to elect the whole board, one is not to do it.
Raised his hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we should have
So
they also do.
The votes feels a little bit weird, to be honest, to me at the moment, because we have the bylaws that need to be up to 7 people, and accepting everyone on the list seems a little strange. I don't know if before this happened, it was completely okay. Not saying that anyone, the people there, should not deserve that, but it's strange for me, at least. I don't know if it's normal for other occasions. I will just shut up and just vote. But if not, it's not normal. I will say that we should either try to have an idea how to resolve this, because now, for example, anyone can just add the name there and it will get elected to the board. Just to
That's
reach
not
the
quite true.
7th. So,
excuse me. Let me just explain.
Thank you.
Right now, we have a single proposal, and we have people who have given a presentation. So if we are okay with electing all of them, we might as well do that in single vote. Now, if there is somebody who is against this procedure, then we will elect them one by one. But you can't just add your name and get into the board. You still have to give a presentation and be open for questions and things like that.
Yeah, maybe let me rephrase Christian's question. I think he's just wonder whether, in the past, there's also a situation that there's less than 9 board members serving the board, and would that be okay for that? I think that's his question, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just it feels less democratic, in my opinion, to have less people than the maximum, because at the moment, even if if you do it individually, of course, the outcome might be different, but it feels strange. So I just wanted to ask for the current board or everyone for previous experience, if this happened before, and if not, is there any reason to maybe to either vote individually or maybe, I don't know, a request for a couple of extra days and a new GA for a new voting for the board or something? I'm just curious of how it works in the past.
Historically, it has happened that we have had fewer candidates, and then the board is the size of the number of candidates, unless you decide there is a candidate that you think is not suitable for the board.
Yeah, I think we should add that the bylaws actually say that there should be 4 to 7 board members.
Yes.
And since we are more than 4, it's fine.
That clarification explained more, and I will agree with that. Thank you, Anders.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, then if there are no other questions or discussions, shall we move on with the vote?
There's 2 more hands up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I don't see them, but that's my usual.
And then it's Theophanis.
Yeah.
I think, Konstantin, you raised yours first, so you can go ahead.
Okay. So I believe the simplest way to make sure that any doubts are aside is just to run quick anonymous vote, yes, no, that we are okay to proceed to vote for the pack. Because everything else would be a little different. Right, so we can just run, Jakob just asked if we are okay to vote for everyone as a single group, as a pack, and we can just do it formally and include it in the meeting notes, and that would clarify it completely.
Okay, I think that is a good idea. So we have first a vote for whether we can vote on everyone as a group or not, and there we have a yes, a no, abstain as alternatives, and then depending on the result of that, we will proceed. So if Raquel can please set up the vote.
Jakob, I think Fanis also wanted to say something. Can we hear everyone on the floor first?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I feel that Jakob maybe have already answered to that. I'm curious what will be next. Like if we vote no, what is the next thing that we will do? For yes is clear that we vote as a group, but if we say no, what is the outcome of our vote?
Then we will vote individually for the board members. And then if there is any board member who gets more no votes than yes votes, they are not elected to the board.
Okay, thank you.
May I have a question? Isn't it easier just to vote individually in the first place instead of having two votes?
I agree with Mia.
And
Yeah,
I also,
well,
my personal opinion is that it's a bit more democratic, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Faster.
I still want to go ahead with a vote on whether we elect them as a group or not.
Yes,
Okay.
and if
Thank
we elect individually, it will be 6 votes and not 2.
Yes.
Okay, so we should set up a vote, yes, no, abstain, on Zoom for, do we vote on the new board members as a group?
Or not.
Or not, okay.
Sorry, this is vote 6 or?
This will be vote 6,
Yes, yes, vote 6. Maybe just to clarify while Raquel sets up the vote, we've done this on block voting a lot of times in the past, and it's actually quite common that we have fewer people on the board than we actually have seats available.
Yeah.
I would also like to add one more question. Do we have any extra volunteers to help with the notes within the agenda, so we get to keep track of all the votes, all the numbers?
My side, I'm here. If you want me to do something, I'm just checking the Zoom stuff. Do you want me to check something else?
Yes, please. The vote numbers and the results of the votes on the document.
Okay.
I'm ready. Should I launch now?
Yes, please. So we have a vote number 6, whether you agree to vote in all board candidates as a block with yes, no, or abstain as alternatives. And if there are more yes votes, then we will vote on the board as a block. And if there are more no alternatives, then we will go to individual voting. So please cast your vote, and I will wait a little while, and then I will ask if anybody has not done their vote who wants to.
Currently, there are 39 out of 43 people who have voted.
Okay. Is there anybody who wants to vote who hasn't done so yet? No? Then we are closing the vote.
Closed and shared.
So we have decided not to elect the new board as a group. So then we are going to set up 6 new elections where we are choosing yes, no, or abstain for each of the candidates.
So basically, for every new vote, I am setting up an for every candidate, I'm setting up a new vote. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So, so we go in the order of the list, right?
Yes, we go in the order of the candidate list. This is going to be 6 different votes, one after the other.
And ready to launch the first one, which is for Anders.
Yes, please launch the first election.
Okay, wait.
Sorry. Should the candidates first give like a little speech, or I just missed that?
We have already have the presentation of the candidates. We have moved on to the votes.
You need a bigger
Okay.
hamster wheel.
Yes. Okay, so we have the vote number 7, which is whether you wish to elect Anders Hammarkvist to the EPS board. And you have yes and no and abstain as alternatives. And again, please cast your votes. And in a moment, I will check if everybody has cast their votes. Is there anybody who wants to cast a vote who hasn't done so yet? Then we'll close the election. And we have decided to elect Anders Hammarkvist for the EPS board, and then we can move on to the next election. Then we have vote number 8, whether we wish to elect Boris Nivoris to the EPS board. Yes, no, or abstain. Please cast your votes. Is there anybody who wants to cast a vote that hasn't done so yet? Then we're closing the election. And I find that we have elected our Aris Nivoris to the EPS board. Then we can move on to the next election. We have vote number 9, whether you would want to elect Cyril Vitrush to the EPS board. Yes, no, or abstain. Please cast your votes. Is there anybody who wants to cast a vote that hasn't done so yet? Then we close the election. And I find that we have elected Cyril to the EPS board. Please go on to the next election. Then we have vote number 10, if you wish to elect Sekar Koirala to the EPS board. Yes, no, or abstain, please cast your votes. Is there anybody who wants to cast a vote that hasn't done so yet?
Yes, I didn't get the vote.
Oh, who is that?
Anders.
Anders. Oh, strange.
Yes.
But you and nobody else didn't get
I
the vote.
had to select it from the menu as well. It didn't pop up by itself, so I had to go to more and see, look at polls.
There. Yes, now I found it. Okay.
Okay. Have you managed to cast your vote now?
Yes.
Great. Is there anybody else who has problems casting the vote? Then we're closing the vote. And I find we have elected Sekar to the board. Please go on to the next vote.
Not to put pressure on the person doing the votes, but I haven't got anything so far. I hope that anyone else is also waiting.
Raquel, you need any help for the vote?
No.
Yes.
Now, here is vote number 11. If you wish to elect Ege Akman to the EPS board, please vote yes. Otherwise, no or abstain. Please cast your votes. Is there anybody who wants to vote who hasn't had a chance to do so? Then we're closing the election. And I find that we have elected Ege to the EPS board. Please go on to the last vote. And we have vote number 12, whether you wish to elect Koti Velanki to the EPS board. Yes, no, abstain. Please cast your votes. Is there anybody who wants to vote who hasn't done so yet? Then we're closing this. And I find that we haven't elected Koti to the board of the EPS. Okay. This means that we are done with the election of the board, and we're moving on to the optional election of a nomination committee for the next annual meeting, the General Assembly. And so far we have had self-nomination, but we have had discussions. I have had discussions with members of the board, considering the idea of maybe having a nomination committee in order to be able to make some things like that. So I give the floor to Arthur.
Yes, we talked about it a little bit more this year because this is an item on the agenda that is there every year, and every year we vote no. And we were thinking that maybe this year it would be a good idea to break with that tradition and have this nomination committee. And the idea behind this nomination committee would be to proactively reach out to people who would be future board members early on, so they can work with said committee in preparation for being on the board in the future. And there are sort of two ideas behind it. One is that it would allow us to find more candidates for the board in the future, but also to make sure that when we do have the board candidates, they are sort of more familiar with what they're signing up for, which is always a bit of an unknown. Like, unless you've been on the board before, it's like the board doesn't do the good job at explaining what happens on the board and how the daily operations of the board look like. And then having a committee that would also be like the someone who could potentially talk to the new board members and explain what they're signing up for. That also would be, I think, an important improvement. So basically, two goals. One is to find the new members, whether that's within the current EuroPython organizers or beyond, and also to make sure that everyone is familiar with the job and what they are signing up for.
Okay, I open the
We do
floor
have
to
some.
discussion.
I would like to add one more thing to that this, as far as I understand, does not invalidate the option for self-nomination, that we always still self-nomination. The committee is there only to support and to recommend, and also to perhaps publish the recommendation along with publishing of the list of the potential candidates when we are announcing the elections. It does not mean that you would not be able to self-nominate, or that any potential future board members wouldn't be able to self-nominate all the way up to GA just like today. So that path is still wide open as it has been before, even with that committee existing.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. But it's a procedure to help find good candidates for the board. So I open the floor to discussion. Anybody who is for or against this, who wants to make their views known.
We have 2 hands raised.
So, Fanis, you want to go first?
No, Alex, I think you raised your hand first, so you go ahead.
Okay, as you wish. So yes, I support this because as Arthur already explained, that there's a lot of explaining to be done, but also like motivation and like also like a stronger, like what's the mission? And I think sometimes if you're in the board, you probably sometimes see many of the stuff you have still on your desk for the conference and stuff. So, and I think it would be great if people who have board experience and know what to do, and many of them are also well connected in the community, and we can help find new board members who bring also the skills to the table to run a board and have the experience in the community. So I think it's a good idea, but I think it's very important. This should just help and support finding board members. It's not a process anybody has to go through. That's why it's really important that self-nomination or somebody else wants to nominate somebody is still open. I see this as a support measurement for improvement in the future. Thank you.
Okay, who else was on the list here?
Yeah, I have raised my hand. So I would like to support what Arthur shares. It was difficult this year, especially with the workload after the conference, to find the people that they will be candidates for the new board, and having a committee that takes care at least part of that, because again, people, as mentioned both from Alex and Arthur, can self-nominate. It could be helpful for the new board, and we have many people that they have been through the process of the board membership and everything. So I think it's a very good direction.
Okay, anybody else? One of the things that might improve through a measure like this is that there have been quite a few people who dropped out of the board quite early after getting elected to the board. And hopefully this would be a way of preparing people so they understand the amount of commitment that you need in this. Should we have a vote on having a nomination committee? And in that case, we should elect the people.
There are still like active people who still need to discuss something. There's Mark has his hand up, and also Alex.
Okay, because I don't have a user interface where I can see this, so please bring them.
Jacob, if you want to see it, you probably need to go to the gallery view of Zoom. That makes it possible to see the raised hands. In any case, I just want to comment on this. I like the idea of having a group of people who go out and reach out to other people to basically prepare them for self-nomination. But I've always, this point has always caused discussion in every single GA that we ever had, because the problem is that the bylaws, they don't really specify what a nomination committee is actually all about. The process is not defined anywhere. And I'm not sure whether, I mean, we all have the same understanding of what it probably should be doing, but don't we need some, more specific thing that's written down somewhere, which actually says, okay, this committee is only there for suggesting people or for helping people or train people in nominating for the board themselves for the board?
Yes, well, I guess this is one of those things that part of the Swedish non-profit organization traditions that go back over 100 years. And around here, it's something that's taken for given. So, yes, the nomination committee only has the formal job of being nomination committee. They can't decide who goes on the board. They can only suggest. And then what they do in that procedure is actually more or less an internal discussion for the election committee, how they go about the job.
Okay, so it's more like a tradition. It's not actually written down somewhere so that we can point to, okay,
yeah.
Look, this is what the committee actually is supposed to do.
Yeah, but
okay.
they should interview candidates in order to find suitable people, and whether they go out and do that proactively or if they just ask on some mailing list who's interested and go talk to them. That's up to the committee.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah, okay, I now see the 3 people with hands up. Is Aris next to speak?
I think it was Alex first. So Alex, you can go.
Thanks. I just want to add, it's also like, now I think it's a good point to say there are no guidelines, but I think we can also, thanks for the explanation, Jakob, and I think we can work something out on basically in an agile way, because I think in general we have an understanding it's not a barrier you need to pass to become a board candidate. So it's an open additional process. And I also want to add, it helps because sometimes board members already have decided to leave because, you know, it's a volunteer on board. There's also life, this thing called life. And sometimes you say, okay, you can run for multiple years, but eventually, okay, you want to make room for somebody else. And it's always awkward if you say, invite people, and then you say, oh, what about you? Are you staying on? No, I'm leaving. So I think it's better if the nomination committee, which is not in that position, also supports the process. I just wanted to add this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alexander. Then we move on to Aris.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to sort of comment on your tradition about the Swedish non-profits. I have been a board member for Swedish non-profits for at least 4 years, and I have never seen that election committee actually working, either because the demand on them is too much or because they don't have what they need to do their job. So I am doubting if we are ready to elect such a committee at this point, and if they will be effective with what we are giving them, which is essentially just a title for now. So I'm not against the idea, but I'm doubting if we are ready to proceed with that.
Yeah, of course, it is a good idea for the board to help them get started. Then we have Theophanis, who has raised his hand.
Yeah, I'm between like what Aris mentioned and Alex. Like I feel that we all agree that we don't have a motion to vote right now to add it in our bylaws or have something specific or a specific process. So I feel it's up to this elected board right now to work on this committee, like specify maybe with some people that they feel that they could nominate the processes, and it could be, like in my eyes, I don't know how things will go until next year, a motion from the board for next year, like how we can integrate that with our bylaws, or if it's not necessary, I don't have experience with Swedish bylaws, if it's not necessary to integrate with Swedish bylaws, like we can at least have a process written somewhere, and this committee can work. But for sure, I feel it would be a good direction for the next board to consider about pursuing it.
Okay, so the bylaws allow for electing an election committee. Then we have check. as the next speaker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so since this is on the table, I just want to add my own like comment that I think having a mechanism for the board to dedicate some like workload, for example, like work groups and stuff, would be really like helpful when the organization is growing, because there's like just more and more work, like especially if the vision of like, oh, the EPS should do more than a conference, then definitely there will be like way more work to do. So I think, yeah, having either like some committee, like, you know, supervised by the board, or some work group that the board can dedicate some work for other volunteers, it would be a good idea.
Okay, Alexander still has his hand up, so if he wants to say
No,
anything.
I don't want to say anything. I just, sorry, I forgot to. Don't worry.
Okay. So are we at the end of the discussion of having a nomination committee on? Okay, then we go to the vote on whether we'll have a nomination committee with yes, no, or abstain. And this vote is in the EuroPython General Assembly agenda, the minutes of the meeting. So please cast your votes there. So is there anybody who wants to cast a vote who hasn't done so yet? So I find we have 25 votes for having a nomination committee, 5 against, and 3 abstain. So I find that we want to select a nomination committee. So then we move on to nominations and election of a committee. And normally the size of a committee like this is about 3 people. You can have larger committees, but that usually means that some of them aren't really participating in work. But I'm opening the floor to nominations. You can nominate yourself, or you can nominate somebody else that you trust and who knows people in the community. I'm going to nominate Mark Andre. And of course, you can withdraw from the nomination if you're really not interested.
You see that Fanis has his hand raised.
Yeah,
Sorry,
not.
I couldn't hear you.
I know I have my hand raised. I see that there are not so many people
There.
stepping forward,
Okay.
and I would say that I'm.
Fanis, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear
Okay.
you. So please
So
go ahead.
I would like to say that I see not many people have stepped forward, so I can volunteer to be in the committee. But if other people want to, I'm happy to step like to be the last one.
Okay, so we have Fanis as a nomination. Do we have any more nominations?
I would like to nominate Raquel if she's up to it. Yeah.
Just to be clear on what the job description is for this, to be on this committee, basically we're supposed to go out and try to find people who, or maybe, provide information to people who are considering to self-nominate themselves, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can help with that. Yes.
And then, of course, interview them to make sure that they understand what it entails to be on the board. So far we have Marc-André and Teofanis. Can we find a third person, perhaps? Can I nominate Alexander as well?
Thank you very much, but I have to pass because I'm pretty busy.
Okay.
But fun fact, auditor was my first job at EuroPython. So,
all right.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? What about Czech?
I mean, like, I already wearing the PSF hat, but I'm happy to help if there's no one else. But otherwise, I would give someone else a chance.
Yeah. Okay. Since we seem to have a dearth of candidates right now, at least we have 3 candidates now. So I propose that we go to a vote of electing these to the nomination committee.
Yeah. There are still 2 people who have their hands up, Fanis and Neil.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we have Neil with a hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to check for the minutes. Who are could you just give me the names of the 3 people who are nominated at the moment, please?
So it's Marc-André Lemberg, Teofanis Petkos, and Chek-Ting Ho.
Right. Okay.
Teofanis has his hand up. So
Yeah, I've heard that Ege, I think, nominated also Raquel, and I didn't hear Raquel's answer about that.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah, Ege, before some minutes, like he nominated Raquel for the nomination for the nomination committee.
Oh, you would want to nominate Raquel?
It was done by Ege like some minutes ago.
But we didn't hear the reply from
Yeah,
Raquel,
exactly,
at least not
exactly.
acoustically. That's the point.
Yeah, Raquel is still in the call, right?
Yes, I accept. Thank you, Ege.
Sorry,
So
I didn't
accept the nomination, right?
You're accepting the nomination.
He accepted the nomination.
So Teofanis, you said that you sort of
yes, of course.
were in the last place. So would you like to give up the place, or do you want us to go to vote to see if we want 4 people on the committee, or if we want to vote between?
I'm happy with everything. I heard Chuk that she said she also had the same motivation as me, so I would just ask Chuk if she wants to stay or I can drop out. Like, I'm happy to step aside or join.
Sorry, I want to. I thanks again for the nomination, Jacob. I thought it was for auditor, so I was just on that. So I can help with that, finding people for the board. I'm happy to support that with my network.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you as well, but I was also under the impression that we were nominating and doing for auditor, not for people helping to get on the board.
We are still on the election committee point. So
shall we do the conversation again since we since we have confusions there?
Okay, but now we have a number of candidates. We have Marc-André, we have Teofanis, we have Czech, we have Raquel, and we have Alexander.
I would like to nominate myself as well, so I will add my name there.
Sorry?
I would like to nominate myself, so I'm putting my name there as well.
We have Christian as a nominee as well. Okay, now we have 6 candidates. This is a little too much for a nomination board.
Happy to drop out because I think we have enough good people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
+1 from my side. I'm happy to drop out. As I said, I just wanted to see if other people would step forward.
So then we have.
I'm also happy to drop out, like, since we only need 3 people.
Stop.
Now that I think about it, no, just kidding.
Not be only guys, Chuck. So, that was nice.
Okay, then we have 3 candidates left, which are Marc-André, Alexander, and Christian. I suggest we make a vote on having these 3 people as the nomination committee. And then we need to, we should probably do this as a vote in Zoom.
As individual votes or as a block?
As a block. Okay. If there isn't somebody who wants to propose a different method. I don't hear any like that. So let's do it as a Zoom election as a.
Is this supposed to be vote 13 or 14?
14.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have vote 14 up, whether you wish to elect Marc-André Lemberg, Alexander Hendorf, and Christian Moreira Freides to be on the EPS nomination committee. Yes, no, or abstain. Please cast your votes.
Mark and Christian, I just want to apologize for the misspelling of your name because this is a new computer. I don't have the correct keyboard and I can't copy because on this computer I don't have copy.
No worries, Raquel.
Okay, is there anybody who wants to cast a vote that hasn't done so? Then we close the vote.
We currently have 31 out of 33 voted.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. We closed the vote because everybody said they wanted to cast one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have decided to elect Marc-André, Alexander, and Christian to be the election committee. Then we move on to paragraph 11, which is the election of 1 auditor and 1 replacement. And I'm candidate as auditor for the next year as well. And if anybody else wants to be a candidate or replacement candidate, please report back to us now. it would be nice to have replacement. In case something happens to me. Harald, would you be a candidate?
Sorry, I'm in other requirements.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we have any other candidates?
I'm happy to step in as a replacement.
Okay, so we have VB as a candidate for a replacement. Do we have any more candidates? Do we have any discussion? Then we go on to vote number 50, electing auditor and replacement with yes, no, or abstain. Is there anybody who wants to cast a vote who hasn't done so yet? Then I find we have 19 yes votes and 1 abstain. So we have elected me and the VB as the auditor and the replacement auditor. Then we move on to paragraph 12, presentation of a budget by the outgoing board. And then we have a Google spreadsheet as a document here.
Yes. If someone could share that for me, be nice.
I can do the sharing. Should I share this or should I share the board report?
No, share that. Well, it doesn't matter. It's the same numbers. So basically, we're proposing a similar budget as we had for this year, or actually an identical budget. We actually the results from Okay, this is confusing. I think we managed to confuse ourselves because what it says for actual 2024 is not. It's it is. Oh no, that's true. It actually is for 20. I'm not sure the expenses are from 20. I might have gotten confused when I added the numbers for the expenses for 2024. Those might be 2023, and then in that case, I wonder where the numbers from 2023 came from. But the conference surplus is correct, which was a bit higher this year, and we're sort of aiming for. I would say we're aiming to actually spend a bit more than we bring in. We didn't manage that 2023, and I don't think we're going to manage that 2024 either. But
now, if I may interrupt you for a moment.
Yes.
I don't have access to the document, and I don't see it on the screen.
You should have access to it, but let me see if I can.
We can see the sharing.
Okay. Yeah,
by the way.
I've shared it with you now, Jacob. So you should have gotten a Gmail about it.
Yeah. Okay. Now we can go on.
Yep. So the plan is actually to try to give a bit more grants than we have in surplus from the conference because we have quite a bit of money in the bank, and we don't actually need this much money in the bank. We didn't. I think we're going to be about break even in 2024 when we're at the end of things, but we still haven't managed to sort of spend more than we've brought in, which I think should be the goal. As things stand right now.
Do you have figures for employing somebody before the conference baked into these numbers?
In a way, because it will be the conference that employs this person, so it will come out. It will come out of the conference surplus.
Okay. So, do we have any more questions about the budget for 2025?
I can see 2 hands raised from Alex and Konstantin.
Yes. So, Alexander, please.
Yeah, thanks for the budget. I think it's a great budget because it's. I don't think we need to have even more money in the bank. I see that's community money. It gives EuroPython society stability. We don't need to make any compromises and are able to take a hit. So I think like a black zero is totally fine. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Konstantin, please.
Hey, yeah. Also, thanks for the budget. I think everything is fine as well. The only question I have is, do we have an option here to spend more money on financial aid?
The financial aid is that we're budgeting is 100,000, and we spent 63. Well, this is financial aid and for the conference and grants.
For the attendees, yes.
Yeah, the combined and.
So grants is the sum of those two.
Yes. And we can make it higher if you think it should be higher. We didn't spend that much this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can see Thanis has a raised hand. I'm assuming is about the figure.
Yeah, I'm curious about the number because in my mind it's wrong. Right? It should be 92, not 63.
Should be
or
92.
93.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't include the
financial aid.
It includes the travel grants, but not the cost of giving the free tickets.
Okay.
So there is a lower amount of the financial aid included in this amount, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that is something that would probably do better being separated out in future reporting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to improve this report for the future to be less confusing, and also I think it might be a good idea to count all the grants together, because this also paints a picture that it's like 60%, but we actually went to like 93% of that budget instead of 62.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's absolutely right.
I haven't one last comment I would like to add is that before increasing this budget, I feel that we should also, it's a discussion that we had in the past sometimes with the previous board now, that we should also think about having a more thorough reporting process for the grants. So to receive the feedback of the people that they took the grants, and like in a more detailed way, and the way that it will help the new grants committee, for example, to decide whether or not to give the next grant, let's say, to a specific event. I feel it's a discussion that it should be prior, like to increase the budget, maybe.
Okay. I assume the board is taking note of this comment, and we have Cyril as the next person to speak.
Yeah, I have two questions because the actual budget for 2024 in consultancy and other is higher than the budget. And the budget for 2025 is again on the numbers from 2024. Why is it higher? And should the budget be raised at least for consultancy if we go to a different place in 2026?
It should probably be raised if for 2026 if we go to a different place. I believe it was higher because of the sort of we had the Czech law firm help us with contracts and stuff, and that's I think that's most of the increase in the consultancy figure.
I have one comment about this. Outside of the figures that we have in 2024, that we currently have here, in terms of the spending on consultancy for 2026, if we were to move to a different place, in the past we booked those as the conference expenses as well. So therefore, they would fall under the conference surplus. That means in practice that in the 2025, we're going to have the budget for the conference 2025 and a budget for conference 2026. And this will probably look slightly different in the reporting for the next year because we're going to have conference surplus or like conference costs for more than one conference. And we expect to spend a lot more money next year than we did last year because assuming even that on the conference we spend exactly the same and on the grants we spend exactly the same, which is the projection here, then we will spend more in moving to a different country and then onboarding consultants and so forth, which would be then in 2026 conference budget, which for the purpose of this report still falls under the conference surplus. The consultancy, those fall mostly for the society expenses outside of that. I'm not sure, to be honest, why those figures are here in those amounts, but maybe I know better.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem with that we don't have enough details in the accounting, which we should fix for next year so that the conference expenses are much better separated from the society expenses in the bookkeeping.
Yes, and that ties in with discussions about actually putting the conference in a corporate entity which is owned by the EuroPython Society. But that is something for the future. Mia has asked for the floor, so please go ahead.
Yes, I basically have the same questions like the others because I can see that in budget there is only 3 for consultancy, but one of the topics that was recommended for the board was to improve legal and fiscal framework of the society. So I just wanted to ask if this is something that was accounted for.
Not really in the budget. I don't know how much that will actually cost us. At least not for next year, because it will be mostly next year. I think we'll be mostly figuring out what we want to do, and sort of preparing to actually do it.
Yes, but my assumption was that if you need to figure out what do you want to do, you need to know your options. And when it comes to, for example, some legal matters, for that you do need probably some advice from outside because none of us is really a lawyer. And this is a very, very specific topic.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it also depends very much sort of on which route we decide to go, if we want to stay in Sweden or if we don't, or because I mean we have good advice from our bookkeeping consultant here, which can probably help us with most things, and it wouldn't cost us a significant amount of money. But if we decide to explore moving to a different place, then yes, maybe we need to spend more.
Okay, and the last question is, what is the alternative actually? So, for example, if we realize that we need more consultancy hours and that it is outside of our budget, are we able to spend more on it, or this is like hard limit?
No, this is an estimate. So
Okay.
if we go, the board can decide that we can go over.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, the board has quite a lot of leeway when you move into the territory when you, for instance, would move into not generating a surplus, then you might have to go back to the membership again. But minor changes that are sort of within the reasonable, the board has a lot of leeway. Okay. Then I need to ask, is there anybody who wants to make any changes to the budget for 2025? Konstantin.
Yes. So basically, I see that we have a little more money in the bank, and there was a lot of discussions before that maybe we should try, and like I was proposing to try a little more aggressive PR campaigns and spend a little bit more money on social media. So I would suggest to increase the PR budget twice.
This is yeah, just to comment on that, this is the PR of sort of making the EuroPython society visible, not the conference.
I withdraw that then.
Yeah.
So the budget for the conference PR is baked into the conference where we only count the surplus and not really counting the total figures. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then I find that we don't have any proposals for modifying the budget. Unless
Actually, sorry, Jacob, to interrupt, but I do have a proposal there because of the discussion that we just had. And if you look at the budget is supposed to be a forward-looking plan. So if you year by year you overrun the budget, then something is wrong with the budget. So it needs to be fixed. So for consultancy, for example, I would definitely raise that to 6,000 euros. Just to have the budget catch up with the actual numbers again.
Yes.
Okay. Is the board ready to adjust to that figure?
Yes, I think we can do that.
Okay, so then we increase the consultancy to 6,000 euro for 2025, and then we have one proposal for a budget. So can we move on to a vote on the budget? Yep. Okay. So it's paragraph 12, which is going to be vote 16, and you can vote yes to the budget, no to the budget, or abstain. And I don't want to think about the results of an outcome with no. So please go ahead and vote.
Okay.
Is there anybody who wants to cast a vote who hasn't done so yet? And we're closing the vote, and we have approved the budget. And then paragraph 13 We removed the acceptance of budget because we've already accepted it, but we have a decision on membership fees for the upcoming year. And we have so far one proposal, and that's that we aren't going to have a membership fee. Do we have anybody who wants to propose a membership fee to be a member of the EuroPython Society?
Yes, we actually had a proposal of a one-time fee of €1 to join the EPS.
I don't think that is part of membership fees. That actually requires a change of bylaws. So if somebody wants to propose that, that's for next year's General Assembly.
I would like to use this opportunity to explain a little bit more what's the thinking behind either a sign-up fee or maybe setting up some sort of symbolic membership fee, which I guess probably shouldn't happen on this vote, but should probably happen on a sort of separate meeting, maybe with the other bylaw changes discussion, as we discussed on the mailing list. But the idea behind this is to help us with verification of the EPS members. The form is publicly available on the internet. We don't necessarily know if the people filling out the form are the real people or if the data in the form is real. And then having an extra step that would require some sort of KYC requirement on the other side would help us with the validation whether the people are indeed real members, and then verify their identity when they're joining the society. And I can see.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. We have Theophanis, who's raised his hand.
Yeah, exactly on the same page with Arthur. It was last year. It was an issue. I don't want to get into details, but I feel that again, the direction for a next General Assembly or in general the new board would be to take care of that. Like we didn't have the time or the to work on it, but I guess it will be more important as the years are passing to be able to verify who is joining as a member the EuroPython Society. Especially if they are human beings.
Yes, I can see the problem. This may be a solution to it. Raquel has raised her hand.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand the need for KYC. I just wonder whether there are other ways to do that that doesn't require financial transaction, just because I think in some countries, even if it's not a lot of money, it can still be kind of difficult to make transaction with certain countries. I feel like perhaps we don't necessarily want to exclude those people.
Yes, I agree on that. I think the new board needs to work through this proposal and come back perhaps in an extra General Assembly just to make a decision on that single point. Theophanis has his hand up. Do you have it?
Oh, sorry. I'm lowering it. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. So I find that we have one proposal, which is a zero membership fee for the upcoming year. Can we go to a vote? Okay, then we move on to vote number 17 on keeping the membership fee at 0. Please cast your vote. Is there anybody who wants to cast a vote who hasn't done so yet? Then I find that we have 26 votes for keeping it and 0 against and 0 abstain. So we have decided to keep the membership fee at €0 per year. Paragraph 14 is propositions from the board. We don't have any. Paragraph 15 is motions from the members, where we have a motion from Alexander about 2-year terms for board members and staggered board elections. And this is not quite a finished proposal, so I would like to have Alexander make a short presentation about his ideas and where he thinks we should go from here.
Yeah, given it's 4 minutes till 11, let me take it short. I've seen it's very often really hard with the focus conference forthcoming GA. I think a 2-year staggered term would help bringing continuity to the board. The idea has been in the air for quite some years. We need to set a starting point. Somehow, if we say 2-year board terms are better for stability and having like half of the board staying on and helping also with the transition. Another point is sometimes it was hard in the past. I saw it was hard for a leaving board to make a decision for next year's conference, especially if changing the venue, because people refrain from making decision for forthcoming board members. This would also help if half the board members stayed on and were part of this decision, because we need to think as an organization. We had a long discussion on the, well, no, not a long, not so long, but discussion of the mailing list. So I think we all agreed, okay, let's spread the idea further, discuss it, and bring it into proper wording together, and propose not to have it voted on this GA, but since it would take another year to implement if we move it to the forthcoming regular GA, the idea for Mark Andre was to do a GA just about that, which could be also like better suited because it's an important topic, and this is already like a 3-hour meeting, and so we can have another GA in the near future after a group of volunteers who want to work on that have elaborated and refined the proposal, and we have agreed on the wording and the process. And it's actually, yeah, it's also like 3 or like at least 2 motions. One is the staggered term, the second one, or like it could be a combination, is the transition, and the third one is about also like what about inactive board members, because this has been a problem in the past that board members just ghosted away, and the board did not see we haven't had always the majorities to vote, and I think we should implement a process there as well. It must not necessarily in the bylaws, it could be also like an honor code, because to also tell people if life comes in the way, it's totally fine to resign, but just ghosting is not really good. Yeah, that's that was as short as I could put it. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody who wants to add to this discussion?
Yeah, has raised her hand.
Yes, I was wondering what problem do longer board terms solve that cannot be solved by people running 2 years in a row like they do now?
It's you have more stability, because the people, like usually after the conference, the energy is gone. The next GA is to prepare, and there's basically between the conference and the GA, there's not much action going on, because people say, okay, am I in the board? Then we have to make my mind up. So there's not. It's not a silver bullet. I think the silver bullet is fixing, or like improving culture. Fixing is the wrong word. Improving the culture, also like what it means to be on the board for a longer term and bringing stability to it. And I think this would help, because people can say, yeah, have like a 2-year mission, because 1 year is really short. If you just join and you don't know anything about EuroPython, you probably need like 3 to 4 months to wrap your head around everything we have to deal with in the EPS board. And yeah, then there's the conference to organize, and then basically, it's already over because there's also holidays and stuff like that. And I think we've seen some examples. The PSF has changed it to 2 years. In Germany, we have also changed it to 2 years. Yeah.
Sorry, Alex, a minor correction.
Mhm.
PSF has been having like a more than 1 year term and staggering term, as far as I know, for quite a while. I think the one that have this recent change is the DSF, and I think if the board is going to, look into it, they can maybe have a conversation with some of the DSF board members, and maybe they would have.
Yeah, but the PSF changed it quite some time ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
but DSF has a more recent change. I think it's the last like 2 or 3 years or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, is there anybody else who wants to pitch in on this subject? In that case, I'm considering the subject.
No, Marc-André has raised his hand.
Okay, Marc-André.
I basically just want to repeat what I already wrote on the mailing list, just for the benefit of people who haven't read that. Essentially, I think it's something that we should definitely discuss. I also see a bit of a danger, though, because getting new people to run for the board seems to be getting harder and harder. So in 2 years may actually scare away more people. But I think we need to have a bigger discussion about these things, and maybe we can just in the new year, maybe we can have a session where we basically get together and then hash out a few ideas and maybe find something that is actually something that we can all settle on, and then fix that in a separate GA before the next year's GA, where we then put everything into action to basically move forward, so that we don't have to wait another year and actually to put something into the bylaws.
All right, Theophanis.
I think it's a good initiative from Alex, and I'm completely on the same page with Mark. I want to support what he says about having another GA to discuss in depth all these important items that Alex brings in the table.
Okay, then I find the speakers list empty, so I think we can move on to paragraph 60, which is closing of the official part of the meeting. So I would like to thank everybody for their patience during the meeting. I would like to thank the outgoing board for their excellent work. I would like to congratulate the people who've been elected to the new board. You are in for an interesting journey, and please keep happiness into the equation, because doing EuroPython is fun, and we should keep it as fun. And with that, I'm handing over the word to Arthur for a final word before we totally close the meeting.
Yes, thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Jacob, for running the meeting. And thank you everyone for joining. Sorry for keeping you so long. I scheduled it originally for an hour. I thought it was going to be a bit faster this year, but it turns out it was a little bit slower than normal. So big thanks to all the outgoing board members. You've tremendous amount of work that you put into this organization, made it all possible. And big welcome to the new board members. I hope we get to have a productive time over the next year. And yeah, thank you again, everyone, for joining. And I think that's it. I don't know if you're all here longer.
With that, I am closing the meeting and saying see you at next EuroPython. And if somebody wants to hang around and have informal discussions, please do so.